Science fiction, Tommy. Science fiction, D. I know Tommy knows nothing about science. He knows a little about fiction, but sci-fi films, sci-fi movies, this catalog is deep, deep. I don't think there's going to be much overlap in this Rushmore. What do you think?
Well, I think before we beam ourselves up, we better go and click that subscribe button for us. We really appreciate that.
Sure.
And yeah, let's take this thing into the next galaxy, far, far away.
Oh, all right, D. I mean,
well played.
You're there. That was well played. And D, you're there. Yeah. I mean, you might as well go. I mean, I already know. I don't feel it's going to be overlap, but I know there's going to be a lot that are going to be like I would have said that. Go.
Yeah, man. I got to go with probably one of my favorite. If I'm going to an island, I'm taking this movie with me, definitely. If I'm going to an island for the rest of my life by myself, I'm taking this movie. It's the most testosterone movie in the world, and it's Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Woo. Jesse Ventura, Bill Duke, fucking Carl Weathers, Shane Black.
Come on. Arnold at the peak Arnold.
I gotta lean way forward on that one, man. Is that not the greatest? Is that not the greatest on-screen handshake ever in that movie?
Yeah, ever. It's a big meme.
Ever, dude.
And ever, Bill Duke with the dry razor, dry shaven.
Like when it breaks, oh my god!
It breaks, and then Jesse Ventura with the helicopter gun.
Yeah, that minigun is just so damn cool, man.
Whee! Old Painless is his name. Is the name of the
I ain't got gun. Time to bleed. Talk about just everything coming together.
Oh. It really is that good, bro.
It's that good.
What's so cool about that movie is like
anytime.
Even just like the first act, just them taking out like the terrorists in the jungle. Forget about before even Predator shows up. Yeah. You know, just like watching them kick ass in the beginning is so cool. I love that movie. What a great pick.
Tons of olive oil.
Yeah, right. They just drop him in the jungle, man, and it's like what Expendables wants to be times 10. You know, testosterone's going out the fucking yin yang, and it's just like it's as masculine as it gets, bro. I'm with it.
Yeah,
and the reality is, you know, if it bleeds, we can kill it. You know,
there it is.
Well played.
Hey,
man.
listen,
you're on fire today.
I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna come up right away and probably do something that, you know, it's a sci-fi movie, but I'm gonna get it out of the way for me because if I'm going to an island, to me, this is the movie that's coming with me. A few more, but this is definitely one. Gets watched a lot. Back to the Future is one of the greatest sci-fi movies, one of the greatest films ever made. Michael J. Fox, split in time between that and his TV show at the time, takes over for Eric Stoltz and crushes it. The movie's unbelievable, totally nostalgic, totally sci-fi.
The power of love, baby.
The power of love. Huey Lewis.
Oh my god,
that movie.
That's like the greatest opening to a movie ever.
Thompson. Greatest ever. And just again, totally unexpected, world changer, game changer, you know, took over. What was that? 84,
85.
Robert Zemeckis.
Unbelievable. Just an unbelievable film all around, and I could watch it endlessly.
It's so original too, man. It's so original too. You know what I mean? Like it's
so original.
It's such an original movie, you know?
Like you read that script and you're like, right? And then 2 is just as fantastic. Go, Tommy.
Yeah.
What do you got?
To me, you know, it's so hard because it's such an amazing franchise altogether, but I'm just going to pick one. All of these movies could go on a Rushmore, and I'm going to go with Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, which in my
the best
opinion,
one.
It's the best one out of them all, man. It's a total downer. You know, you get to open up the movie with the rebels kind of in a state of disarray. We've got that amazing Hoth battle right off the bat. You get to find out the greatest spoiler in the history of sci-fi, which is Darth Vader's Luke Skywalker's father.
Oh,
you got
Yoda. Come on, spoiler.
I know. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
I mean, who hasn't seen Star Wars?
Hey,
we got Tauntauns. We got the Dagobah system with Yoda. We've got our first like true lightsaber battle in that one. And if you think Tauntauns smell bad on the outside, you should smell them on the inside. It's just a great film. I love it. Empire Strikes Back for me.
What a toy line too. Woo. The inside of that tauntaun, like when you could put Luke in there and pull it with the little plastic on that, like the rubbery plastic.
What a stick them right in. You stick them in.
and have them in their winter gear too. You can get them in both. I mean, and the AT-ATs and all that. Come on.
Is that the greatest franchise of all time?
I'd say for me it is.
Yeah, not anymore, but yeah, not anymore.
I mean, you can definitely argue it, man. I mean, maybe
what would
the
you
Marvel
compare it
stuff, or
to? No,
some of the Marvels?
No, that doesn't compare to Star Wars. Raiders,
Quick,
Indiana Jones would be up there.
I think Star Wars gets it.
yeah,
I would say
man,
Star
and
Wars.
especially in terms of merchandise, it's a merchandise machine. And I like Star Wars. Last thing I'll say about Empire is, the first one's, it's got its moments, but for the most part, it's a pretty warm and fuzzy movie, very much geared towards kids. There's some dark moments in Empire, like when Luke sees his, cuts off Vader's head in the fantasy, and then he sees his own face in the mask. Like, that's some deep shit in that movie.
Yeah,
So
they
good.
definitely went a little darker. I'm a big Return guy because
Yeah.
I just think black outfit Luke Skywalker is as
Yeah, it was
cool as
tough,
it gets.
bro. It's tough, yeah.
But yeah, that's a great pick. All right, D, number 2, get it.
And I'm gonna stick on the Arnold train, bro. And we're gonna go sci-fi to the core.
Yes.
James Cameron, bro. I'll be back. The Terminator, bro. Gets none better.
Which one? You're going to OG, the original?
OG, bro. I like number 2, and number
Me
2
too.
could be added to this as well. But I got to go with the OG on this, bro. OG.
Ooh, I love 2.
Lance Henriksen.
I
Michael
like 2
Biehn.
better than 1.
Wow. But you know what? There's things I like in 2 better. But what I really love about the first one is just so raw, and it's a true indie film. It's really a true indie film to its core,
Cyberdyne Systems, man. There's nothing. What I love about that is, the true definition of science fiction kind of comes into play in that movie when, that movie came out in '84, but like here we are in 2023, and like AI is a legit fucking thing.
Yeah,
So
Skynet.
like, who'd have thunk it? Like that shit's not as, it's a little more fact than fiction these days.
Yeah, a lot of these films didn't miss, in the way. I mean, some did, right? We talked about the Jetsons when we did cartoons, and some were just a little off, but not really. They were doing video conferences and they were doing whatever, but the flying cars everybody always talks about and stuff like that. I think Terminator was pretty good in doing what they do. That'll lead me right into another one that this will be a double Rushmore, and it was controversial, but I'm going to say it. Come on, because it's got to be one of the greatest sci-fi films ever made, and it's the original Matrix. It's as good as it gets.
We got a double Rushmore. Ring the bell.
We got a double
ladies and
Rushmore.
gentlemen.
We got to ring the bell. Ring that bell, as Apollo says. It's. I mean, listen.
You love the Matrix, brother.
I do. You want to know why I love it? I'll tell you why. Because I didn't expect it. Keanu was kind of in a weird place, right? In his career, it was kind of like in that in between. I didn't expect much from it. Nobody had heard of the directors, right? It wasn't something you kind of saw coming. And then again, it's one of those things that once you see it, you're like, what did I just see? Because now it's been so bastardized, like the slow motion and the leaning back and the leather coats and like but when you realize you're seeing that for the first time in the theater, that's like
mind blowing.
It changes your brain chemistry. You're like, what am I watching here? And then again, they're doing stuff that seems so ridiculous. And then as the years go by, you go, well, maybe. And that's what great sci-fi films do. They have a little bit of truth somewhere in them that makes you kind of fall into it. And again, another film, and this is why it's so important in what we do, perfectly cast. Perfectly cast. Everybody from the Oracle on hit that movie out of the park, in every way. Joey Pants, everybody, even the smaller roles,
good,
crushed it. So yeah, that's my my number 2 and my double Rushmore.
That movie's so deep, bro. Every time you watch it, I pick up something new every time in that movie.
It's great. I watch it all the time.
It's the only one. The second and third one,
no good.
Not hold up at all.
No,
they're trash, in my opinion.
No,
but
trash.
The first one, man, is a masterpiece.
It's a solo movie for me. It's a solo.
Yeah, they literally have college courses that they teach just on matrix theory. So they did something right.
They did something right.
So my second pick, I'm gonna go with, again, science fiction. A lot of times we're thinking it's got to happen in space. It's got to have a spaceship involved. Otherwise, it ain't sci-fi. But I like that we're picking ones that are kind of outside of the box. So I'm going to keep that going. I'm going to go with a 1987 classic, RoboCop.
Oh, I got it on mine. So good.
I'll buy that for $1.
I'll buy that for.
You know, man, RoboCop's a lot of fun, and I'm a big old school practical effects guy. I love
Yeah.
it.
Same.
So there's a lot of just terrific practical effects in that movie. And you know, it's just one of those films that kind of got me as a kid. They also had a great toy line. Peter Weller's terrific in the movie. I love the opening scene when Peter Weller just gets like shot to smithereens. RoboCop was just on some next level pop culture shit. He was like a superhero. He had a comic book line.
There's a cartoon too.
A cartoon. Yeah, there was an animated
cartoon
series.
and comic book.
And
He was
here's
at
an
Capital
obscure name.
Combat.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was at Capital Combat. You know, I believe the Four Horsemen were very afraid of him at the time. And I think his name is, I got it written down here, Kurtwood Smith, better known as the dad from that 70s show, is terrific in that movie as well as the villain. Love
So
RoboCop. I don't know the name of like the robot that he has to fight at the end, that other like creature robot, that big thing, but that thing is fucking awesome. Just a great movie. They've tried to reboot it many times. They've but just never hit the mark. Nothing like that first one. I got to go RoboCop all day.
Yeah, way ahead of its time. Way ahead of its time too.
Weller was on Sons of Anarchy, and then he directed a bunch of them too. So he was in it as this character Borowski, and then he directed probably about like 8 of them, 9 of them. So I spent a lot of time with Weller, and you know
he's a really intelligent guy, right?
That's he's a wild. He's a
guy.
wild man. He always wears ascots and stuff. He's very smart. He's like a coin collector. He collects like all these old Roman coins, and you know, he Buckaroo Banzai and all that. But RoboCop, I mean, that's it, right? Like Weller is RoboCop. You know, that's his thing, and he's just perfectly looks like he's got that look for that. But I think what was so cool about RoboCop back then was, like you just said, Tommy, it was so merchandised out. So there was something bigger, like his gun. He had that big gun that fired like a machine gun. And again, rated R. You know, my son, every time he sees it on Tubi, every time he's like, Dad, RoboCop. I'm like, not yet, bud, not yet. Because
it's pretty violent, man.
It's very fucking violent.
But look at the way it looks for a kid. For a kid, they're like, I want to watch
awesome.
It now. It's awesome. What year is that movie?
87.
Okay. So yeah, he's got a couple of years. He probably needs a couple of years because that's definitely violent. All right, D, what do you got going in? Number 3.
My number 3. If we're talking sci-fi films, probably one of the best Monster in the House movies of all time. Happy birthday to Sigourney Weaver. And I got to go with Alien, man.
Of course.
Nice choice.
Of course. I mean, that's it. That's most. I would agree. That's most people's easily on their list, and definitely number 1 for most people. Cast
another masterpiece.
Michael Biehn. It's I mean, and out of nowhere, like again, you got The Thing, and you got a lot of other things that are around there with that, but that's true Monster in the House type, like, but on like a Cameron. Like
yeah.
No, that alien, man, I can't even imagine. Like to this day, that alien is terrifying. But can you imagine how scary that thing was in 1978 or 79, whatever it was? Like, oh my God. And it's a giant bug with an exoskeleton and tentacles, and it's soaking wet all the time. Like,
and it's
the
good.
stuff of nightmares.
It really is. And again, it took the world by storm, right? It was one of those ones that was like a Jaws type moment where everybody was talking about all times, made Sigourney Weaver a household name, and, you know, just changed everything for a lot of people. Yeah.
And again, you're about practical effects. Practical effects, man. No CGI bullshit.
I know it's again, it's changed so much. I'm going to go on my 3rd. And again, I've watched so many behind the scenes of this. I never considered this a sci-fi movie. And then the second I was talking to my wife about sci-fi movies, it's the first one she said. And then I was like, oh shit, it is a sci-fi movie. Jurassic Park is a sci-fi movie. And one of the greatest movies ever, because again, I have so many other movies I want to put on, but it's like, here I am still watching Jurassic Park like once, twice a month with the kids, still finding things I love about it, still watching Samuel Jackson with the big ash hanging off his cigarette, and Newman, you know, with the shaving cream, and we got Dotson here. still laughing, still loving it, still love every single time Sam sees those dinosaurs for the first time. Holds up in every frame of the film, even though it's so long ago, and a lot of it was practical. A lot of it was done there, which they were filming. There wasn't much, to do with CGI back then. It was all like, what he was. So animatronics, and it's just such a wonderful film for so many reasons. And again, leaving all the other ones aside, that first one is incredible.
My son's a Jurassic Park fanatic, man. Like, I mean, all Jurassic Park, but all the way through the Jurassic World, Jurassic Kingdoms. Like, I mean, in his room, he literally has about 30 different dinosaurs, man. He's obsessed.
And that movie, and they look so great in it. Like, they look amazing in that movie.
Again, I talk about this a lot. I'm always harping on this, but to me, the test of time is movies that are parodied a lot. And Jurassic Park, that scene, I remember, especially in the 90s, that scene where the T-Rex is coming and you get the cup of water and you just see the ripples in the cup of water, and it's like, oh shit, he's coming. Like, what an iconic moment. I think that's Spielberg in all of his Spielbergness.
That's when he put it all together.
Yeah, like he just got the black belt in Spielbergism, and he's like, I'm just in the zone right now. So I love that movie. Great choice. And there's a great sense of urgency with that movie too. Like, they got to get off the fucking island. You know what I mean? Like, I love that sense of urgency throughout the whole film.
Great cast too, man.
And
like you said, great cast.
Jeff Goldblum. The dude who plays the owner of the park, I forget his name.
Santa Claus from Miracle on 34th Street.
Yeah, exactly. Santa Claus. He's extraordinary in it. And
I'll look him up. Hold on.
The kitchen scene when they're fighting
the raptors.
The raptors coming in, and then just the way the banner falls at the end with the T-Rex and like these little things they do, the way the Jeeps are painted, the whole, again, toy lines, merchandise, it's got the whole package. McDonald's.
Richard Attenborough.
Oh, Richard Attenborough. Yeah, he does all the documentaries and all
the. We lost him in 2014.
Yeah, he's extraordinary. Extraordinary. All right, Tommy, what do you got? Number 3.
Okay, well, I must say, a pick or two of mine have been selected, so I'm going to readjust a little. I'm shifting gears, and I'm going to go with one that's probably not super heralded, but god damn it, it's my Rushmore.
Yeah,
and I'm going to go with The Fifth Element.
Great call.
You're talking about
great call.
Well, it's a great movie. It's just so much fun. It's Bruce just in a role that you don't really typically see him in, although he is very Bruce in it. You don't see Bruce in a lot of science fiction. I just love the film. I love Chris Tucker in it. I love Gary Oldman in it. I love the creatures. I love how the creatures are like scary, but they're kind of cute at the same time. Like even the scary ones, they're kind of cute. And just and I'm
Mila Jovovich.
Mila Jovovich is just. Man, I had a crush on her in that orange getup when I first saw it. So yeah, I love that movie, and I'm due for a rewatch, man. I haven't seen that one probably since I was a teenager, so I'm gonna dust that bad boy off. Fifth Element.
I did watch it recently. It's extraordinary. It's the opera singer part and just the way they put it all together. Bruce with the blonde hair, and Bruce is just like, again, being an action star, but getting to do his moonlighting stuff and be funny. I'm an obvious giant Bruce mark. That's how Dee and I met on a movie with Bruce. I think he doesn't get enough credit for someone that can make you laugh and also do the action and also do the drama. Started late in the game, was an extra in The Verdict with Paul Newman, and just that. Yeah, he was an extra in the courtroom at the end. That was his first credited role as like a guy in courtroom or something. And what was cool about that, not to totally veer off, is when he did Nobody's Fool with Paul Newman, he said, we've done a movie before this together. And Paul's like, what movie? And he's like, The Verdict. And Paul's like, you weren't in The Verdict. And he's like, I was 2 guys behind you in the courtroom that they filmed for like 2 months with Sidney Lumet. And he showed him the thing and him sitting there. Yeah, so he's extraordinary. I love that movie. It's definitely a great rewatch. Totally holds up. Even better, what I loved was Gary Oldman, when they asked him about it, he said it's the most terrified he's ever been because he thought he was so horrible in it and so over the top that he's like, when this movie comes out, my career's over. That's what he was thinking. And meanwhile, his character's unbelievable and he
Phenomenal.
could do no
Yeah.
wrong. All right, what do you
Yeah.
got, D? Number 4.
Love that call. Oh man, number 4, man. I'm gonna go with probably the movie that has probably inspired every movie we discussed. Came out in 1968, I believe. I mean, if you would have saw this in the theater then, it probably would have just fried your mind. But
Yep.
I gotta go with 2001: Space Odyssey, man. You know, to me, it's the predecessor to every movie we discussed.
Currently watching it right now. I'm
Yeah.
doing a rewatch. I'm watching it in parts. Yeah,
It's
Kubrick
crazy,
changed.
man.
He changed everything. Changed everything. I think about that. Like my first car ever that I bought was a 1968 Mustang. I bought it for $500. And I think about that old ass car. And I'm thinking about that. And people in 1968 were sitting in a movie theater watching 2001. That if you watch it now, you're like, man, this movie
looks better than 85% of the movies that are out now.
5% of the movies that are out
Easy.
now, it looks better than, and this was in 1968 in the theater, and you're watching that going like, and meanwhile, it got killed, it got panned, people didn't understand it, you know, there were a lot of movies like that.
Such a clean,
clean lines, and it's like it's also too like life actually imitate, and a lot of the stuff like you said earlier, life imitates art, and you know, NASA was inspired from a lot of that movie, you know,
A lot of it.
you know, it's crazy, man. So
yeah, there's a lot of weird things that he put in there, like he always does, Kubrick. And you know, obviously the beginning is one of the most parodied and talked about
The
scenes.
monolith.
You know, yeah, the monolith and the
throwing the
song
big bone
with the bone, yeah, going up in the air and all that. Yeah, it's an incredible.
How
film.
about it's I forgot the name of the song, but that's Ric Flair's
Ric Flair's entrance music.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah,
so
what
good.
is the
Only
name of
he
that
can
song?
have that music.
And Elvis.
Right?
Elvis. It was also Elvis's theme song.
Yeah, it was Elvis's theme song too.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna pivot only because I don't think anybody's gonna talk about this movie. And I think it's one of my favorites from him. And I can't believe I'm putting it on a Rushmore with a lot of others out there. But I fucking love this movie, and it's Minority Report, and I'm putting it up on my Rushmore because I absolutely, it's sci-fi to the bone. It's Tom Cruise, who kind of wasn't really doing, I don't think, much sci-fi. He did it after
Not
that.
then, afterwards.
Not then.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just such like a cool idea and so different, right? It's right when Colin was kind of hitting on all cylinders. He was just coming out. And again, it was one of those weird movies that parody, almost like this could happen, right? And when you see it, you're like, no way. And then like now you see it and you're
now
like,
you see
"Wait a
everything.
second." Yeah.
All the technology.
All the technology, all the stuff of them knowing and figuring things out and the setups and the, you know, kind of Orwellian kind of stuff that was going on. And I just think that it's, again, I rewatched it recently and I'm like, fuck, this is a really good movie. Like, it's just a good movie. And I think that was a time in films when we were taking good movies for granted. Like because we were getting so many that were coming out that we were like, oh, because that was a time, because there was a couple of years in my life where I went to the movies every week, every single week when I was living in LA early. Like I didn't miss a day, you know, a week where I went. And you just see like a great movie. You'd see bad ones, but you'd see like a great movie and you just go, oh, awesome. I'll probably see another great one next week. And now it's like the polar opposite, right? You rarely go to the movies and you rarely see good ones. And I think Minority Report was like, again, is it one of the greatest movies ever? No, but man, it's a really good sci-fi movie when you think about it and what they were doing. And, you know, arguably the
I need to revisit it. I saw it when it first came out, but I've only seen it once, so it's something I need to watch again. Actually,
it's great. Tommy,
all right, I was very torn on this last one here, but that's why we have honorable mentions. So I'm going to go with the more home cooking choice, and I'll save my slightly more obscure choice for the honorable mention. But you know, guys, you know, there's aliens in the news everywhere now. There's more and more sightings. Like it's a real thing. Are they out there? For me, my favorite alien movie, I got to go with Independence Day.
Wow. I thought you were
that was a fun one, man. Just like
a good movie.
Just a big old fashioned
big
studio
event.
movie.
Yeah.
You know, It was a
That
big
put
happy.
Will on the
Cheering.
map. That really put Will
cheering
on
in the
map.
theater when he's dragging the alien.
Hell yeah! So many laugh out loud moments. Let's kick the tires and light the fires. Harry Connick Jr. is a great wingman. Wouldn't you want Harry Connick Jr. to be your
Yeah.
wingman? I
So
would.
good.
I'd
He
want
could
him
sing to
flying
you.
aside.
Bill
Yeah,
Pullman.
you got Bill Pullman up in there. You've got cousin Eddie. Cousin Eddie
Eddie.
saves
Randy
the fucking
Quaid.
day.
What a
Right?
speech! What a speech from the president. In
Woo!
that theater.
One of the best speeches in the history of
Pumped
cinema.
up.
And
Gets you
Jeff
pumped.
Goldblum is terrific.
Jeff
You know, you
Goldblum,
just
yeah,
want to
man.
be his best friend.
He's like Mr. Sci-Fi, bro. He would be if there's a poster boy for like sci-fi
Wow.
films. Like he's got The Fly, he's got Independence.
Would you
Day,
put
he's
like
got
the
Jurassic.
sci-fi there? Would you put the sci-fi television championship on him? Meaning he has. To
I think he
defend
would
it
be
every,
intercontinental or television champion. I don't think he'd be heavyweight champion,
every event. He's got to defend it though. That's
but
what
he would
being
have
the
to
television
defend the
champion.
He'd have the workers. He'd have the workers title. The workers.
yeah, he's
title.
working. I don't know who's the heavyweight champ of sci-fis. I mean, it would probably have to be like Mark.
Could be
Hamill.
Arnold, man. Could be Arnold
or
on this
Arnold
list.
or Mark
Arnold.
Hamill. Yeah, I mean,
Arnold
that would be
probably
tough.
because you still got. Well, there's another one.
Running Man is. I was come
Running
on,
Man,
bro.
yeah.
I was having a hard time.
Richard
leaving Running
Dawson.
Man.
yeah.
Yeah. come
No,
on.
there's another one too with Arnold. He does
yeah.
have the, we'll get into that in our honorable mentions, but
And we'll get into
guys,
that on our Patreon. Yeah,
listen, there's probably a lot more, intelligent movies out there, but
Probably a
Independence Day
lot
is
more.
just, it doesn't, it doesn't really get much better if you're just looking for like a popcorn science fiction movie.
well, let's go right now. Let's go. Start off. D, go give us a couple honorable mentions really quick because
Man, I'd have to say one of my favorites would definitely be Roddy Piper and They Live, man.
I was
John
going to say that.
Carpenter's
That was my
very
Minority
nice.
Report when They Live. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, it's
Mike's on
such a
the list.
great movie, especially like, what's going on in society today, man. You really want to wear those glasses, man. Once you commit
Longest
to them,
fight scene.
you commit to them. You can't take them off, man. You know what I
Can't take
mean?
'em off. Once
You
you've seen
can't.
inside, you can't take them off. I feel like that's my life. Yeah. Once
And
you
I would-
know, you know.
I would have to throw this other movie in there that I think when it came out, it wasn't, it got panned by the critics, but I think over time, it's really become appreciated. And that's really Scott's Blade Runner.
Yeah. People
Very
love
nice.
Blade Runner. Everybody. That's a lot of people's number one.
Yeah.
If we're doing two, I'll go with two quick. I mean, I can't believe this isn't. I figured somebody would say this, so I just wanted to shake it up a little with Minority Report, but E.T. was like right on there for me. I don't know why I wasn't saying E.T. And then another one is Ex Machina, which is a newer one. I think Ex
love that
Machina is
movie.
like one of the greatest films. So
One
smart.
of the greatest in the last 10 years for sure.
Oh
man.
my
It's
god!
so
I think
good.
it's a lot older than that. I think it's older than 10 years now.
Is it?
Isn't
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah,
That
yeah, I
film
think you're
is
right.
Extraordinary,
So good, bro.
extraordinary film.
Shoestring budget, too.
Shoestring budget, beautiful looking film,
Mhm.
like stunningly beautiful looking. So I'll just go E.T. and Ex Machina as my two honorable mentions. What do you got, Tommy?
Nice choices. I'm gonna go with, back to the Kubrick list, I'm gonna go with A Clockwork Orange.
Yep.
That's kind of straddles the line of what we consider sci-fi, but it is
Sure.
sci-fi.
Sure.
And
Sure.
just that movie I watched as a teenager, and it just left me with such a feeling, and it was an uncomfortable
Weird,
feeling.
uncomfortable.
It's a
But like,
creepy
those
movie,
are the
man.
movies that like just you watch that and it doesn't leave you right away.
Malcolm
The
McDowell
eyeballs jacked
kills it.
up. Here's an obscure one, but it was a great film. Ethan Hawke, Uma Thurman, Jude Law, Gattaca from 1997, which
Yeah,
was all
never
about
saw
like engineering
Gattaca's
body. But it was basically a movie about cloning.
Okay.
When cloning was like first in the headlines, kind of.
Yeah.
But it's a cool movie. It's worth a watch if any of our
It's-
Rushmore fans haven't seen it.
Well,
Crazy. We're there now, man. I mean, like all the stuff we're discussing.
all the stuff we're
We're there.
discussing is all there. These are going to be like people are going to be watching in the future. Go, these are sci-fi. What do you mean?
These are
They're
true
just like
story.
regular movies. Aren't these dramas?
Yeah.
They're going to think
yeah,
they're dramas.
right.
All right. Well, we're going to head over to Patreon, continue this conversation. The main thing we're going to talk about is how no one mentioned Close Encounters of a Third Kind, which I can't believe
Wow.
it. It's one of the
Can't
greatest
believe that
movies
one.
ever,
It
but
is.
it's okay.
They're
We're going to talk
here.
about that. Yeah. And we're going to talk about so much more. Talk about the worst ever. And man, there's
I got one for you. I got one for your ass.
too. I got one for your ass.
I got a
All right.
couple.
Our Patreon link is in the description down there. Come over and join us. It's fun. Tommy likes to do them in a different voice. Sometimes he likes to do characters. Nobody knows what's going to happen in that channel over there.
But you
And
can
what
go
else?
over to Patreon and you can check it out. And if you don't mind, you can also hit that subscribe button for us. We'd really appreciate it. What do you say?
There we go. We appreciate y'all. Sci-fi movies, or are they sci-fi? Take it easy. Rushmore.
Peace.